What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Ike here, coming to you with a brand new video. Today we're going to be answering the question, how many seconds or minutes should you be resting in between sets to get the most out of your workouts? Stay tuned to find out. People ask me this question all the time. It's always like, oh Ike, how many seconds should I be resting between my sets? Should I be resting 5 minutes? Should I be resting a minute 29 seconds? I'm like, bruh. Okay. It depends. I wish I could give an answer, one size fits all answer to this question, but like everything related to fitness, it depends on what the outcome you want to achieve is. So if you're training for strength, you're pushing yourself to the limits to express max strength, then between 3 to 5 minutes is enough time to replenish your ATP stores. However, if your goal for training is to improve your metabolic capacity, then you want to limit your rest to between 30 seconds to a minute max. If you're training for overall hypertrophy, which is like to build bigger muscles, then you can rest between 2 to 3 minutes, it's fine, or a minute 30 to 3 minutes, it's fine. What your goal is will affect how long you should rest. 3 ways you can think of training. Training for metabolic capacity, training for hypertrophy, and training for max strength. These 3 modularities all feed in together. So we'll tackle metabolic capacity first. Metabolic capacity, what the hell is that? That's essentially your body's capability of dealing with metabolites that build up when you strain your muscles. So you're doing bicep curls. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then your muscles start to burn. Those are the metabolites, which are the byproducts of lactic acid building up. And the burning sensation is the buildup. And these have a hormonal response, an anabolic hormonal response, which signals your body, like after your workout is done, to go ahead and build muscle. It's good in the long term, but in the short term it feels like crap. The more this builds up, it affects your performance a little bit. But just like everything related to training, the more exposure you get to a particular stimulus, the more your body adapts to it. So training through the burning sensation will give your body the capacity to not see too much of a drop off in performance, so you can get past that. Resting 30 seconds won't give you enough time for the metabolites to clear from your muscles. Well, obviously training like this, you can't lift as heavy as you would if you were taking 3 minutes or 5 minute rests. So you want to reduce the amount of weight you're lifting. So in that sense, you're not giving yourself exposure to max load, so your nervous system isn't getting the practice it needs to get better at performing those moves at max loads. However, your metabolic system is getting better at performing despite the buildup of metabolic byproducts in your muscles. So when you go and start lifting for 6 to 12 reps, rather than performance dipping when you hit rep 7, 8, 9, you can train past that because your body has become more adapted to training past metabolite buildup. So that's the first modality. 30-second rests for metabolic training. And you shouldn't try and lift as heavy because when fatigue builds up, there's a tendency for your form to get sloppier. And that's not good if you want to stay healthy, because sloppy form usually equals to snapsity. And if you're injured, you can't train. And if you can't train, you can't make gains. So there's no point in, trying to be Macho Man Randy Savage and hurting yourself. Anyway, number 2 is how long you should be resting when you're training for hypertrophy, which is to get bigger muscles. Everybody wants to get bigger muscles, obviously. At least most people I know want to get bigger muscles. If you don't want to get bigger muscles, just change channel. I'm playing. 3 things affect overall muscle hypertrophy: volume, intensity, frequency. Volume is how many reps times how heavy the load is. Intensity is, generally speaking, like how heavy the load is. And frequency is how frequently you train a particular muscle group. For volume and intensity, you can play with those on a session basis. Frequency is something you play around with, given the overall scheme of your macrocycles and what have you. But in a particular session, two things you can manipulate when it comes to hypertrophy is volume and intensity. So for you to get the most out of your hypertrophy session, you want to be lifting as heavy a weight as you can with good form, for as many reps as you can with good form. And that way you get the most amount of volume in, and you get like the most amount of intensity in on a session basis. You multiply that by how many sessions you have in a week, and you get gains over time. Like, now we know all these things. It won't be a good idea to limit your rest period and have it affect the amount of load you can move in a workout. You want to rest appropriately so you can recover enough to go in and move as heavy a weight as you need for as many reps as you need for that particular session. That's why it's a good idea to rest between 2 minutes to 3 minutes, or 1:30 to 3 minutes, so you're fully recovered and you're fresh enough to go in and move the weights that you're supposed to move for as many reps as you're supposed to get. So that's hypertrophy. 30 seconds to about 2 minutes rest between sets. Third training modularity is strength training. How long should you be resting if you're training for strength? So when it comes to strength training, to get better at moving heavy ass loads, you want to be lifting heavy loads frequently enough. If you're training between 80 to 100% of your 1 rep max, you want to rest enough so you can go in and move the weight, because there's no point in doing one set and then jumping and then trying to do another set but then failing because you didn't rest appropriately. Then that defeats the purpose, because you don't get exposure to lifting the load, and if you don't get enough exposure to lifting that load, your body doesn't get the practice it needs to adapt itself to being able to move that load. So when you're training for strength, you want to be taking between 3 to 5 minutes of rest, so you give your body enough time to recover before you do your next set. Otherwise, it kind of defeats the purpose of that. So yeah, that's it. Next time you're wondering how many minutes of rest or how many seconds of rest you should be taking between sets, you think about what outcome you want to achieve, and then based on that outcome, you can pick the appropriate rest range or the rest interval that suits the purpose that you're aiming for. That's it, man. That's my video for today, guys. I hope you found this video informative. If you did, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.